And welcome back to Ozarks Live. I'm here with my friend Mike Stevens from the Moxie Cinema. Mike, thanks for joining me. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me back.
Of course, it's always nice to have you. Okay, so it's a new month, so there's some new flicks we want to talk about showing at the Moxie. So first up is called Hallelujah, Leonard Cohen, A Journey, A Song. What do I need to know about this?
So Leonard Cohen is a famous Canadian songwriter, and his most iconic song is Hallelujah.
Yes.
So this is a documentary about him, but using the frame of that song to kind of explain his biography, his impact, because of course Jeff Buckley made that song famous later.
Right.
And also the times that he came from, and interestingly his craft. And one of the great things about this movie is Leonard Cohen himself approved it, and that means his foundation and all the archives, his personal notebooks, footage that had never before seen. So if you are a fan of his or that song, it's a fantastic look at how it got created and what it means.
Yeah. Now, is this a pretty new film, or has this been out for some time?
This is a brand new film.
Okay.
Yeah. It played at festivals, but this is the first time it's going to be in theaters.
Okay, so I'm curious, as a movie buff, is what I would call you.
Yeah. Thank you. I hope.
So, okay, so I feel like we're in this like era right now where we're like doing a lot of different music-based documentaries on these artists and their lives, or different kind of significant moments that happen for them. What is your take on all of that?
Well, I think of it from a business perspective. They're pitching something. It really helps if it's a documentary or even a drama, if it's a known quantity. So you have an audience built in. You have Leonard Cohen fans, or stans, and so like the executive that's going to greenlight that knows that it's going to have an audience there, and if it's really great, that it could expand that audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what's something that may, like, for fans of this song that obviously know it so well, what's something that may surprise them about the documentary that they'll enjoy?
I think the fact that I think a lot of Leonard Cohen fans might not know the life it's had outside of him.
Okay.
That it's gone on to kind of have, I mean, it's been covered thousands
So
of
many times, yes.
They probably do know it, but I think just that his legacy, particularly from that, is really expansive. Because I feel like, especially if you were a fan of his stuff in the 70s or late 60s, he seems to be just as relevant for a lot of modern songwriters.
Very cool. All right, so this next flick we want to talk about is called Lawrence of Arabia. What's this about?
Yeah, this is the 1962 film.
Okay. And
so it is considered kind of the big screen masterpiece. I mean, it's a movie that needs to be seen very big. It's set in, the desert. So there's, like, if you're watching it on your phone or a tablet, the camel's going to be, this big. It's going to be indecipherable. But one of the great things, so it's a story of T.E. Lawrence, who was a British officer who went in World War I. He united warring Arab tribes to fight the Turks. So he was this mysterious figure, and it's the screenplay for the movie was taken from a renowned biography. And it stars Peter O'Toole and Omar Sharif. And it's one of those movies, if you're of a certain age, you know this movie. And if you've heard of this movie, you should go see it, because it is an incredible big screen experience.
Yeah.
It combines kind of the huge visuals and cinematography, but also a psychological portrait. And that's the reason why we're playing it, because it's part of this series called Psychological Landscapes. So it's the biggest and the kind of most intimate moments captured really well. And despite being 3.5 hours,
a long film.
That's a long movie. It has no fat on it. I mean, it is crazy how tight and it is. I mean, it's an epic. That's the nature of epics. They're expansive, and couldn't be more excited to play it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the last one, and this is probably the one I'm most excited for, just because the name's behind it, right? So we have Vengeance, starring B.J. Novak. Tell me about this film.
So, of course, B.J. Novak from The Office.
Yes.
This is his directorial debut.
Okay.
He wrote, directed, and stars in it, and he is this New York City journalist. He's an aspiring podcaster, kind of a cad of sorts. He's like hooks up with a lot of women, and then he wakes up one morning and gets a call from one of these, the brother of one of these people who's he's hooked up with, that she's been murdered. This woman that he can barely remember. He goes to West Texas to, he's convinced to go down for the funeral, and it turns into this pitch for a podcast. He pitches to his editor back in New York City about this true crime story, about her death. But really, it's more about, it's kind of a dark comic thriller about a lot of things, but but it has to do with really the how we see ourselves as Americans,
Yeah.
and how we come together.
Okay, so you think fans of BJ Novak will really appreciate this film?
Oh yeah, it's really a great chance to see him kind of spread his wings.
Okay, now remind people where they can find the Moxie online and find more information.
MoxieCinema.com is always the best place.
Okay, and then are you guys on social?
Yeah, all of them.
Okay, perfect. All right, Mike, thanks for joining me. For all of our viewers, go out there and check out a film that you wouldn't normally see, and Ozarks Live will be right back.